Last night, West Ham United announced the signing of Gianluca Scamacca from Sassuolo, and what palaver that was! All day they're spelling out his name, the first letter of every tweet, spelling out his surname. So we've got the S, the C, the A, the M. Yeah, fine, we know what you're doing. Let's keep it going. Let's just entertain West Ham for the sake of it. Then we got the A, then the other C, then the other C. All was going well. We just needed the final A. But before they could get to that, they started selling the shirts on the official website. The club store had the shirts there for sale. So you could buy a shirt for a West Ham United player that had never been officially announced by West Ham United. There was something comical about it. But it was just sat there. Then they finally announced it. The last tweet beginning with A as well, all the way from Italy. Now the video was fantastic, I thought. Whoever came up with that idea, really, really good. It had that Italian 90s vibes about it. I thought it was a 10 out of 10 video. Apart from the fact they spelt his name wrong in it. They spelt it S-C-A-M-M-A-C-A. So they had to delete that tweet so they could correct it and re-upload it. Fine, not a problem with that. But in doing so, they deleted the A that we needed to spell his name out of all the tweets they'd been doing all day. So deleting that one meant the last letter of his name was now a T, so it was now Scamacca. There was something incredibly ironic about the club having to delete a tweet to correct the spelling error of his surname in the video, thus creating a spelling error with all the tweets that they've been doing during the day. I liked it. I actually liked the whole thing because in the last couple of seasons we've almost been treated to this new West Ham under David Moyes. We're tougher to beat. Strikers on a goal scoring drought no longer rock up at West Ham and finally get the goal they're looking for. It's changed a little bit for the good. But last night we got the old West Ham back to some extent, and I quite enjoyed it. I was able to just, from a content creating point of view, it was frustrating because we had the video ready to go. We just needed to push publish. I was like, come on, we're constantly checking so we can get it up on time. But from a fan's perspective, I don't know. I thought it was quite funny, to be honest with you. 1,000 days since we last signed a striker. We finally signed him. We'll have all that palaver. Anyway, Gianluca Scamacca became David Moyes' fourth major summer signing of the transfer window. But who will be number 5, number 6 and number 7? This video isn't about what I think will happen. It's about what I would like to happen as a West Ham United fan. Welcome to my final episode of my summer series. Since what we've been doing during the summer, we've been taking a look at every position David Moyes is trying to purchase a player for, and I've been throwing out a short list, players I wouldn't mind seeing at West Ham, giving my number 1 pick at the end of it, and you guys have been participating, so thank you very much if you have got involved, but don't stop now, because it's the last video. Get your final wish list in the comments section. So what we're going to do, I'm going to have a quick talk about where West Ham are, and what I'd like to see us do in terms of positioning, and then we'll have a look at the players that could be available for West Ham United and players I wouldn't mind seeing in the Claret and Blue at the London Stadium next season. Shall we get into it? Let's go. Now, before we discuss the individuals I wouldn't mind seeing at West Ham, let's take a look at the situation because there's still a lot of work to be done. Listen, I'm enjoying the signing of Scamacca and it's important to do that. But once the novelty effect wears off in the next couple of days, I'll be thinking, right, hang on, we still need probably 3 major summer signings. Left back, attacking midfield, or centre midfield. We still need 3 major signings, plus a couple of loans or cheaper alternatives on top of that as well, especially with the centre back situation. But I do feel the Scamacca transfer is pivotal and probably our most important one this summer, regardless of who else we sign. Now, it might not be the best player. It might not be the most important player that we sign going forward, but in regards to the transfer, I think it just takes a little bit of pressure off Moyes and West Ham because it's a striker. 565 days ago we sold Sebastian Haller and we've been waiting for him to be replaced in 3 transfer windows now. So I think this was almost like the pressure position coming into the window. Well, are we going to sign a striker? Who are we going to sign? We've got one now, a substantial one at that. So I think it just takes the pressure off West Ham. But like I said, there's still quite a lot of work to be done in this window. But I think we're starting to get a little bit ready for the Man City game. A few weeks ago, people would argue there's 2 months the window yet. Obviously, the start of July until the 1st of September. There's 2 months, there's ages to buy players, which is factually correct. However, between now and the 1st of September, there's 7 games for West Ham. We've got the 2 European qualifiers and 5 Premier League matches. We can't afford to just throw those points away. They are pivotal. 15 points up for grabs, plus to qualify for the European competition, which I would argue is vitally important to West Ham this season. So we needed players in ready to go at the start of the season. Now, they don't all have to be here, but we certainly needed additions. Basically, the team that starts against Man City can't be the team that started against Brighton at the end of last season. And if Aguerd was fully fit, which I'm aware he's not, but if he was, I would argue we've got 2.5 signings that could easily start against Man City. Areola being the half, but Aguerd and Scamacca could certainly start. And I think if we could get one more that will feature against Manchester City, I think we're in a good place for the season kicking off. Now, who that might be, it looks like Filip Kostic is most likely one at the minute. We're obviously in talks with Napoli over Zielinski, and we're still waiting on Leo for Amadou Onana. I can't see us signing both. I just can't. If we signed all those 3 players, plus the left back, and got a couple of loans in, I mean, that's closer to 200 million than 150. Sure, we're not spending 200 million, but then again, I said we wouldn't spend 150 million, and we're on the right track for spending that. We're away to spend a lot more than I ever expected in this summer transfer window. So far, so good, and it is good. But there's still a little bit of work to be done. I think a left back is crucial. I won't stop banging that drum. We need a left back, and Kostic ain't it, I'm convinced. An attacking midfielder, a centre midfielder would be nice as well, and then we need to have a look at that centre back situation. So, with all that said and done, shall we take a look at the individual players to fill the vacancies at West Ham United? Let's go. In episode number 1, we took a look at the goalkeepers, and my pick was nothing fancy. In fact, it was the most obvious and easiest selection of the entire summer series that I've recorded, and that was Alphonse Areola. I just wanted Areola back at West Ham, but we've got Areola back at West Ham. Absolutely delighted with it. An £11 million transfer for an absolute fantastic goalkeeper. Quite cheap in the Premier League standard these days in regards to transfer fees and whatnot. 29 years of age, signing on a long-term contract. We've got a number 1 for years to come in Areola. We obviously know him well after, I would say, a relatively successful loan spell last season. He knows us well too, and some transfers just make sense. It makes sense for the selling club, the buying club, the player, and this is one of them. I think he should be our number 1 next season. I'm a little bit suspicious whether we will or not. I think we might see Fabianski at least start the season as number 1, but certainly in the future, for years to come, Areola is a top keeper for West Ham, and I'm absolutely delighted to see him back at the club. Now, episode number 2, we took a look at the left backs, and my pick in that video was Calvin Bassey of Rangers. Now, obviously, he's moved on. He's gone to Ajax for around about 22 million. I think that's one transfer target that we might look back on a couple of years' time and just wish we went and got him. I think he's heading straight for the top, a fantastic talent. So, that gives me a vacancy on my wish list. And if you wanted someone like Calvin Bassey or Ivan Hickey, then you've got a vacancy as well. So get thinking and get it in the comments below. But for myself, I would love to see West Ham go after Luke Shaw. Now, perhaps a little bit ambitious, but Man United have obviously gone and spent money on Tyrell Malacia, who a lot of our subscribers wanted to see. A lot of people watching this video right now wanting to see Malacia at West Ham. And given that Man United are only in the Europa League rather than the Champions League, I think they've got enough squad depth there. In fact, I think Luke Shaw is too good to be second fiddle left back at Old Trafford. Maybe he will be Erik ten Hag's first choice. However, I would suggest that Malacia is getting more of the important minutes pre-season for Man United, which would make sense given that they've just signed him. So could Luke Shaw be available? They've obviously still got Alex Telles and Brandon Williams. Now, I'm aware Williams is probably going to leave Manchester United because I don't think he's good enough for Manchester United. But I would just love to see West Ham make a move for Luke Shaw. I think he's very underrated, very underappreciated. I think a couple of seasons ago he was the best left back in the league. I still think he is one of the best left backs in the league actually. And I think him and Ben Chilwell, I don't think there's too much between them as to who's England's best left back as well. So I would love to see him at West Ham. I think his style of play would suit us perfectly well. And I quite like his attitude actually. Often when things are going wrong at Man U, he's one of the ones that sort of puts his neck on the line and says something that most of them are probably thinking. So yeah, that is an alteration to the Geo wish list of the summer series. Luke Shaw, please. Now, episode number 3, we took a look at the centre midfielders and my picks. Well, I did 2. I was a bit naughty. I had 2 centre midfielders. But we didn't sign Flynn Downs at this point. So I wanted Dahoud of Dortmund and James Garner of Manchester United, just in case he was available on loan. So I'm going to scrap the James Garner one because we've obviously got Flynn Downs in now. However, I still want Dahoud of Dortmund. I don't know enough about Amadou Onana to say whether I would like him at West Ham or not. The jury's out as far as I'm concerned. A bit like Scamacca, I don't know enough about them. I don't have an opinion. But I do on Dahoud. I think he's a fantastic talent at Dortmund who's just been massively hindered with injuries. And he's got that creative edge from the centre of the park that we are severely lacking in some games. And even more so after watching friendlies. And I know people say it's only friendlies, but as I keep saying, this has been evident for 6 months in the Premier League too. And we're just struggling against sort of low block sides that sit back and say, what you're going to do? Well, our answer is, we're not really sure actually. Putting Dahoud in the centre middle of the pitch would just change that, would just give us creativity from a deeper position. Not like Lanzini, because when Lanzini plays centre mid, you can tell he's not a centre midfielder by trade. He's just lacking that physical presence at times. Dahoud doesn't do that. I think he would be perfect for West Ham. He would be pricey, but bearing in mind we're offering 32 million for Onana, we got money. So I'll have Dahoud, please. Stick him on my list underneath Luke Shaw. Thank you very much. Now, episode number 4. We skipped ahead to the strikers. We left the attacker midfielders to last. So we skipped ahead to the strikers, and my top pick was Breel Embolo, who has actually left the Bundesliga. He's now going to be playing French football next season, so I'll no longer see him play. He joined Monaco for roughly 10 million, which is exceedingly cheap. I think I was surprised at how cheap he left. I knew he'd be available for a low fee because he only had 12 months to go in his contract, but even that feels cheap. He cost less than what Ben Bertrand Diaz is going to leave Blackburn for. It's just madness when you compare the two players, when you compare how much experience one of them's got and their standing in football, if you like, to Diaz. He's 5 million less and he's only a couple of years older. It's wild, I think. Fantastic signing for Monaco, but obviously West Ham have then gone on to sign Scamacca, so Embolo comes off the wish list. Nobody's going on. I'm just mentioning who I would have liked. And in episode number 5, we took a look at attacking midfielders and or wingers that I wouldn't have minded at West Ham United. Now, I picked out 2 players, and one of them has moved on elsewhere. We won't mention him, Jesse Lingard, but he's no longer on the wish list. He's gone. However, Omar Marmoush, who I did pick out of Wolfsburg, 1 year to go on his contract, left winger. Salah, left-hand side, not as good. Salah's the Egyptian king, Marmoush the Egyptian prince. And while I still wouldn't mind him at West Ham United and he still hasn't moved anywhere, I must confess, if I'm being honest, which I am, I'm getting a bit excited for a bit of Kostic next season. I've liked Kostic for a few years now. Part of that Frankfurt team. Like I said, Frankfurt the trio used to get praised a lot of Jovic, Rebic and Haller. But I always saw it as like a Frankfurt 4 with Kostic on the left-hand side supplying them with the crosses. And in the last couple of days, I have to admit, I've started to find myself really wanting Kostic. And if I'm guilty of one thing with transfer rumours, while I don't believe 99% of them, it doesn't mean I don't want them. So we might get linked to a player and I might think, I don't believe that. But it doesn't mean I don't think about it and go, well, you know what, I wouldn't mind him at West Ham United actually. And that's Kostic. Now, I do actually believe that we're in for him. But I found myself really hoping this transfer happens. So I'm going to take Marmoush off my wish list. I'm going to replace him with Kostic as well. Because I think he just can't play left back. This is why he's my attacking midfielder option. I think to play left wing back or left wing on a front 3 or front 4, I think he'd be absolutely fantastic as well. And I think he's different to Jared Bowen. Obviously he's left footed, he stays out wide a little bit more. Doesn't mean he doesn't cut inside, he just cuts in differently to how Jared Bowen does. So Jared Bowen will cut inside and almost move across parallel to the 18 yarder. Kostic cuts inside by moving 10 yards infield, still facing in the forward direction. To simplify it, hopefully that makes some sort of sense. Probably not, but it's different. I think Kostic would be a fantastic addition. He can play 2-3 different positions down that left-hand side. Fantastic at set pieces as well. And while he is 29, but that's why he's only 15 million, because he's only got a year to go in his contract. If he was 24 on a 5-year deal, he'd be 50 million at least. So it swings and roundabouts really, isn't it? Yes, it's not ideal, but that's what makes the price more attractive for us. So yes, Filip Kostic gets a massive yes for me. So, To summarise, I'd like Luke Shaw, I'd like Dahoud for centre midfield, and I'd like Kostic as well. Now, obviously, I haven't talked about centre backs because when I started the summer series, Nathan Guerd was a West Ham United player. But I do think we need a centre back on loan, and my pick for that, I mentioned him the other day, would be Colwill of Chelsea. On loan at Huddersfield last season, was superb in the Championship. Still at Chelsea, it seems that Chelsea are a little bit reluctant to sell him, understandably, because they've massively had their fingers burnt recently, especially with the likes of Mark Guy, who's obviously doing really well at Crystal Palace. Tomori's gone to AC Milan, and Chelsea needs centre backs now. But two of the best young centre backs in European football, Chelsea sold last summer, so you can understand why they're a little bit reluctant to sell him. But we don't necessarily need to buy him. Ideally we would, but a loan signing suits us, it suits Chelsea, and just like Areola, some signings just make sense. Anyway, let me know in the comments below who you would like to see West Ham still sign this summer, what positions you feel are necessary, what business you want to see David Moyes conduct. This is the final episode of my summer series. A massive thank you to everybody who has tuned in and those who have interacted in the comments. I appreciate it massively because you've got to change up the content somehow, haven't you? But I've enjoyed it. So come January, I'll do it in then. There might only be one episode, but I'll still do a January summer wish list video as well. And then I'll do it next summer too. So massive thank you. If you enjoyed it, drop a like on this video by clicking the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I'll catch you tomorrow.